Hello everyone, today we have a MacBook Pro A1708-875 board. It's a 2016 model which is not turning on. The customer said that the MacBook wasn't water damaged and it stopped turning on by itself. Let's start diagnosing the problem by plugging the charger and see on the amp meter how much amps it's taking to know what's wrong. And as you can see, it started with 5 volts and then turned to 20 volts, but it's only drawing 18 milliamps. So I'm gonna check if the other port does the same, just to be sure. And as you can see, it does. So now we are gonna open the bottom case and remove the battery and check if that changed anything. And as you can see, nothing changed. So now we know that the problem is on the board. So let me tell you what happens when you plug in the Type-C charger. Here we have the USB Type-C chip, U3200 or CD3215. In order for this chip to fully function, it needs an input power and also needs communication lines or data lines to communicate with the charger and other input or output devices. So the input power rail here called PPBUS G3H, which is 3.3 volts, and the communication lines are USB-C XB-CC1 and USB-C XB-CC2. These two data lines go through R3450 and R3460 and onto the USB port. Also, it's the same thing for the other chip, which is responsible for the second USB-C port. It goes through R3350 and R3360. So from the readings on the amp meter that we got, which is starting with 5 volts and then turning into 20 volts, we get that the MacBook is talking to the charger, and it's telling it that it's not an iPad or an iPhone, and that it is a MacBook and it needs a 20 volts to operate and charge the battery. So the next step in our diagnostic here is to check the power rails to see what's missing. And the first and most important rail is the PPBUS G3H. The PPBUS G3H rail should be 12.7 volts. This rail needs to be on to turn on the other power rails. After this rail are the power state rails. You can Google them to get to know how the computer works. The other rails in order are S5 rail, S4, S3, SO. And as you can see, the PPBUS G3H is 0.07 volts, which means it's not present. either because we have a short on this rail or the chips that creates this rail is not working. So to figure out if it's shorted or not working, we are simply gonna check using diode mode. And as you can see, we have a short on both ends of the fuse. So we are gonna take the board out and look for the short. First we need to remove the fuse to figure out on which side is the short. And as you saw, our short is on the PPBUS G3H side. Now we're first gonna check visually if we can find the short. If not, we are gonna just inject 12.7 volts into the rail and see what heats up. And it looks like we found our shorted component. Let's check what this capacitor job. So this capacitor's job is to smooth the PPBUS G3H CPU power rail. And this rail comes from the R5400, which means it's parallel to the PPBUS G3H. Now all we have to do is to remove the dead capacitor and see if that would be enough to remove the short and turn on the computer. And as you can see, we removed the short, and now we can solder a new capacitor and put back the fuse and test the board. And we have a normal power drawing. So let's assemble the MacBook and test everything. As you can see, we have our Apple logo on the screen. So that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more interesting repair videos. And if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comment section down below and I'll try and answer them. See you next time.